1.5 billion Ghana cedis in demurrage charges have been accrued on approximately 2,500 containers belonging to Electricity Company of Ghana (ECG) that are stuck at the Tema Port. In response to the huge losses incurred by the state and energy sector, a technical committee was formed to investigate the locked up containers and ECG's procurement practices. The committee's thorough probe reviewed more than 1,300 containers out of the locked up of about 2,500 containers could not be traced.
2,491 is the list we were given. We got 1,134, leaving out about 1,328 containers that could not be accounted for.
Presenting the investigative report to the Energy Minister, the chairman of the technical committee, Professor Innocent Kwesiakwa, highlighted key findings, including excessive procurement made by ECG, which were overstated by a staggering 700%, and procured services for clearing the containers without competitive bidding.
At the same time that they were saying they were not having money, several contracts related to the same goods have been awarded. And those contracts are such that when the supplier delivers at the port and hands over the documents, 90% of the cost is supposed to be paid. 2022, our procurement was about 70%. 2023 was about 740-something%. So whatever they plan to procure in their procurement plan, you realize that that was overdone by 740-something%.
The Energy Minister, John Jinapo, expressed worry about the irregularities and inefficiencies within the state-owned power utility.
ECG itself presents as containers held at the port 1,328 cannot be accounted for. That is very serious and that's very alarming. 1,328 containers cannot just vanish into thin air.
He was optimistic about tackling the issue with appropriate interventions by the security service and other stakeholders to bring perpetrators to book.
And I assure you that we would hold people liable for this. And whatever it takes, we'll work with the Attorney General, we'll work with the police, and ensure that whichever group, whatever people are responsible for this, are brought to book. And that we retrieve either the containers or the monetary equivalent of these containers.
About 2 months ago, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, Mr. John Abdullahi Jinapo, tasked a 5-member investigative committee to oversee all procurement practices at the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG. The move was aimed at addressing the inefficiencies that have led to significant financial losses to the company and the energy sector in general. Ikia Ufriwa, Dako, TV3 News.
And amongst it, we are told that ECG had earlier reported that they had about 2,491 uncleared containers at the Tema Port, but an independent audit found only 1,134, leaving 1,357 of the containers unaccounted for. As to where they are or how they disappeared from the port, that's what the minister says investigations will look into. Also, a total of 1.5 billion Ghana cedis is what has accrued as demurrage for the containers being at the port. ECG previously had a dedicated fund for clearing containers, but as of 2022, information according to the minister indicate that they seized this fund because they had no funds in them. So that's another concern that was raised in the report. ECG actually awarded contracts to 2 separate firms for clearing their containers, one of which was pre-financed by the ECG. Now, let's look at some of the key procurement breaches that was also captured in the report. One contracted company lacked the necessary license to undertake or operate as a contracting company. ECG's procurement directorate had also been merged with the Housing and Estate Unit, which according to the report was a breach. The Director of Procurement had no prior experience and was not even a member of any professional procurement body, which in itself raises some questions. And then it goes on to say that, so out of this, when the report was presented to the minister, he also said that he was quite surprised and alarmed at the current situation and was going to get some investigation into it. Let's go to the phone lines now and try and get better understanding, I should say, on what exactly has gone on. Hache Derek Emmanuel, who is an economist and research analyst, has joined us. He's with the Institute for Energy Securities. Good evening and thank you for joining us on News 360.
Thanks for the opportunity.
What are your immediate thoughts? Are you first of all surprised that yet again another angle of ECG's many tales comes up, and now it is about the fact that containers that they themselves had procured disappear from the Tema Port?
And I must say I'm quite down and very saddened by the current developments. Well, we've all envisaged that such things are possible, but we didn't anticipate the magnitude of it. Looking at what has happened regarding the first one, where there were some 500,000 worth of containers, and then they were not able to clear it, and then they have to go and repurchase it for $300,000. Those ones came at our notice, and then it was quite alarming. But looking at the current one, as I initially organized and where people who perpetrated this activity are cleared out, and then they are just take advantage of the loopholes of the system, and that is what they are thankful for.
And are you able to even think of how a container, not one, not two, not 10, not 20, but over 1,000 of such containers could just disappear into thin air? Is that possible? Is that feasible, you think?
Surprising, because when we are talking about container, we are not talking about something little, something that somebody can put into a pocket or some set of money just into a box or anything. These are tangible things nobody can easily hide. But as I earlier stated, it's a organized crime of where people are taking advantage of a loophole of a governance system that is failing, and then they are benefiting from it. And so look at the National Department for Housing and Employment. This is somebody who does everything pure and co, and it more or less looks like an insider. And so the person knows that, okay, I have this worth of goods already procured, but they still continue to procure similar goods, and then they pay for it. Now, how this is vanished, especially the customs officials who are at the helm of affairs, who are supervising these things, they need to trace it who were on duty on that set day. And when the goods were delivered to the port, who took stocks of it, and whether the days have been transferred or not. And so it is high time that the police service and national security and the attorney general, as are using this evidence, some people and then put behind questioning. Other than that, there is no punitive measure that will deter anything, because we continue to hear things of this stature, and then it's too much for Ghanaians, because it is taxpayers' money that is being mishandled or misappropriated, and it's never good. So, million worth of goods is not something that must be taken for a joke.
And finally, we know that President John Mahama has said that there is a strong consideration for privatizing ECG. Will privatizing the institution deal with some of these problems which clearly look like a cabal, you know, and along the value chain? So this time around, it's not just ECG, but it looks like the port authorities where these containers were probably also need to answer some questions. Do you think privatizing ECG can resolve some of these challenges?
All right, and so what Ghanaians have come to terms with is that we are not talking about full privatization of ECG. We are talking about participation of a private sector. And so definitely the private sector having a hand in it is not just because they want to take full storage of the value chain, but to participate in the value in the downstream, especially when it comes to revenue mobilization, how big people can be done. These are revenue mobilization of ECG, so that particularly they'll be able to comply with the cash waterfall mechanisms to be able to pay those that are in the category A or the category B. But when you have a private sector participation, you are likely to ensure proper efficiency. There will be value for money, and this kind of organized crime and criminal activities will definitely be a thing of the past, because it is always a drain on the national corporate, and that is what is crippling the power sector.
Derek, we thank you for making time to speak with us this evening. Thank you for your time. And for those of you who are watching, what do you make of such a shocking story? Do let us know in the comment section as we all look at how we can resolve some of these issues as a country.